All right, let's go. This video is going to show you 12 things you can do when you make these lovely plans and your brain hijacks them. This happens. This happens to me. I'm a neurologist for over 30 years. Let's dig into neuroscience that can bring joy to our work life. Okay, this is from our April challenge. So I run a community for women docs. It's called Fresh Path MD. So if you're a woman doc, come on in, but this information is useful for everybody. Okay, women docs. What the heck? Everybody else. Isn't that frustrating when you make this beautiful long plan? I'm going to do this and this, and on this day, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. And then you're tired, your brain says no, you have a lot of thoughts, there might be emotions. There's probably all the above, right? So let's do this. So, welcome. I'm Dr. Mary Rensel. I run a community for women docs called Fresh Path MD. This is our April challenge. So this is our summary of our April challenge. So every week we've broken this down into small parts, but you're going to get all the goods on this video. So 12 things. So stay till the end and like and subscribe so you get more of these. I just help try to make the workplace a little more understandable, some new tools to use to navigate the workplace. I was just at a national meeting and a new doc came to me and they said they had a bad year financially and they're taking away our printers. And now when I see patients, I have to run all over the clinic trying to figure out where a working printer is. Now, it's not the end of the world that you don't have a printer close to you or even on the same floor, but it's just the whole thought. Maybe the team could have got together and say, hey, we need to save some money. What are some ideas but instead they just say to the docs, like, you don't need printers. Good luck finding a printer. It's just silly, right? Like, just like silly little things that just make one question their worthiness. Do they feel worthwhile, valued in the workplace? Because when people don't feel valued, they don't tend to bring their best work. So let's go from that place where we make our own plans, we take the reins, we decide what's important to us and put what's important to us in our lives. So let's go when we have even taken the time to make plans. Where do we want to go? What's important to us? And then how do we break it down? The 12 things we can do to really move this forward. So we're going to call them courageous micro moves. So little tiny things. It's not you, it's your amazing brain. It likes to save glucose, save energy. You know, the brain is only a couple pounds up there. It's a little bit different, male, female. I'm not going to go over whose is bigger, but it doesn't matter because the women brain works, all of our brains work a little differently. Okay. So when we were doing this whole, challenge like I do in my Fresh Path, we broke these down into small videos every week. And if you want to come into Fresh Path, you're welcome if you're a women doc. But let's do it now. We'll go over the 12 things. So number one, these tiny, tiny nano actions, really, let's say 10 minutes. Do you have 10 minutes this week, or each day, even better, to think about why might you be hesitating when you make a huge detailed plan or even a mild, small detailed plan? The brain truth there is we avoid change because we're going to lose something. We feel like something's at risk. Sometimes it's strictly our freedom because we've made new plans. And so it's going to take us time. It's going to take our energy. So maybe it's just that, like, we don't want to give up our time and energy. Maybe it's, for me, a lot of times it's judgment. What are people going to say? What are people going to, and who are the people? Like, I watched a video or read a book, something like when you are hesitant to do something, you're wondering what they think. Who's they? When you say they, like, what faces come to mind and how much does it truly matter to you? So when you're thinking of going ahead and you made that plan, but you got the brakes on, you just haven't taken the action, you haven't started. Why? Because something might be at risk. So here we go. One thing you can do is just write down one area where you feel a little bit stuck. Like, I'm not making a move in that area. I'm not sure why. I had a woman doc I coached on rest. I had to help her and we coached and we talked and we figured out ways to help her rest and play with her kids. Like, she always had a message, like she was losing work time or losing her time to catch up or watch emails. Like, she had a thought that it was keeping her from, she was going to lose something if she went ahead and put time into that. So we set a 3 bucket approach. This is what I do in my coaching for women docs. And one of hers was rest. And so she, like, it was hard for her to sit and watch a movie with the kids without any phones, like, just be there and giggle with them and have fun and be there with them. I know it's sad when I say it out loud, but it's true. Like, that is actually what's happening out there. Um, okay, write down one area where you feel stuck and then ask yourself, what might I lose if I go ahead with this? Like, I was just talking to a young couple, thinking about moving in together, and we were talking about what you would lose if they move in together. I mean, they're excited about moving in together, but they will lose things, right? They'll lose their autonomy, their freedom to have their own place, freedom to decorate completely how they want. I mean, there's things you lose when even it's a good thing, right? So, and then the reframe, the other thought we can also ask ourselves is, what might I gain that matters even more? And that's what this person was saying. It matters even more to be together every day, to share the time, to build something new together, even though there will be losses. Okay. So those are three quick little actions you can take, some little questions. Figure out number one, where are you stuck? What did you make plans for, but you're just not making those moves? You're not taking the action. So we're going to go back to those courageous micro actions. And then ask yourself, what might I lose? Just be clear with yourself. Obviously, something's threatening you that you think you're going to lose something by doing this, doing X behavior. Example is the couple moving in together. The one person was saying, I like my stuff. I don't want to get rid of my stuff. I don't, I like living a certain way. I like being a certain level of clean or not. They had differences on air conditioning. Okay. All kind of challenges. Okay. So in a neuroscience sense, we just want to state what emotions we're feeling that matters even more. I feel grateful I have this opportunity. I feel excited it might actually work. I feel hopeful for the future. So just notice the feelings that you're having, because once the feelings are noted, just like clouds going by in the sky, you might be able to go ahead and tell your prefrontal cortex, all right, I got this now. I figured out the emotions behind my stall. And now I know. I know why. It gives me clarity why I'm not moving forward. Okay. So those are the first weeks what we went through. Okay. The next 10-minute actions we can take. Creating safety to move. So is there something that feels unsafe about the change? Why else are you stalling? So no action happens without telling your brain it's safe. The brain's role, this thing inside us, is to keep us safe physically and psychologically. Mostly just physically. We hear a lot about psychological safety at the workplace, but we're talking about safety, period, just our whole self safety. Are we safe? If we're going to take an action, is there something that would threaten us? Like for me, I mentioned at the beginning, sometimes I stall because I think of judgment toward what I'm about to do. So I want to think it through. Who am I? So then one time I just had to write, I have a new rule, like 5 data points of my thoughts. Like, what's the data points with that? And I could only think of one person that might judge or why it would matter. And otherwise, I couldn't even fill in the data points with that. So that was a big stall for me, but it didn't have a lot of data behind it, just a feeling. Okay. So if there's a big step that you've been planning, maybe we have to shrink it a little bit and take a smaller step. When I coach women docs, I talk about, crossing a river, and we're setting actions into place like the little stones to help cross the river. So it's safe. I don't ask you to like jump to the next stone because you might slip and fall. We don't take big jumps that feel unsafe. We make small changes, put small actions into place so that we feel safer making that change. Okay, so if it seems too big, just shrink it by half. So like this couple, if it feels too big for them, maybe they could spend a month just kind of thinking like, what's most important to me in a place I live? What's most important to you in a place I live? That kind of thing. Okay, and then you would say, okay, this feels safe enough to try. I'm fine with a month to kind of talk more about it, or maybe look at some places, but say like, we're not going to commit this month. And then take a step, take an action, because you're telling your brain, by taking an action, you're telling your brain there is safety. So another example is I help docs start businesses or consider starting a business. And sometimes you say, okay, go plan a business. That's a big, huge, nebulous goal, right? So we break it down into the small steps crossing the river. Open a blank document, and your job this week is just to write 3 ideas down. We don't have to know how we're going to get them done. We're just talking about ideas. So that's how you break it down into a small step help you cross the river of action because it tells your brain, oh, I am courageous. I can do these things. It feels kind of good to take a risk and get something done and take that action. There's just a lot of thoughts and emotions in the pause, in the stall. Okay. So just to regroup, first we have to name the hesitation. What are we going to lose if we go ahead with this thing? That may be why we're stalling, right? And then we talked about safety when we are trying to make a change. How do we keep it safe? And maybe the answer is to make it a little bit smaller with a lot of details so you can make a move and take an action. Okay, this time, how do we reclaim our choice, find our own choice in the matter? If we feel like we're being forced into something, we stall, we put our heels into the sand. With that one, right? We resist. We do not want to feel forced. Okay, so watch your language. So my husband and I, some years back, we heard we get to instead of I have to. So when we're going to work, we get to go to work because we meet a lot of people who can't work anymore and they want to work. And so we say we get to go to work today because my kids say, you going to work today? Yeah, we get to go to work today. So why do you say it like that? I'm like, because we get to. It means we're healthy. We can get to work. We have a job. I mean, it's a lot of wonderful things. So it just little words can help us kind of refocus, reframe the situation. Okay, so watch where you say you have to do something. They want me to do something. What do you want? I choose to, like, let's go back to the doc starting a business. I choose to create a document thinking about a business that I may start in the future because I'm a creative person and I want to solve problems. Okay, so just one action. So we want to go from feeling that pressure to get something done that someone's saying, oh, come on, you got to do it, let's go, to like, this is my choice. So you want to find areas in your life where you have a choice and take action there. Or sometimes it's just changing the words a little bit to remind yourself you have a lot of agency. You have a lot of choices in your day. You don't have to do a lot of things. Some things you have to do, as they say, die and pay taxes. Okay. So be careful where we're resisting or where we feel forced to do something. Take a little moment and think about, are you forced to? Do you have a choice there? Do you absolutely have to do this thing? Is there something else you would choose to do? Find the thing that brings you joy. It's okay to find joy in your plans. Okay, the last group of tools go from complacency to courageous actions, micro actions, right? We're talking about micro actions because they tell and they show our brain that we can take these actions. We start to feel a little bit more confident and we can make some moves. So go ahead and put in the comments your favorite one so far. We're going to go over the last few tools. All right. If we're trying to expand our identity, let's say recently I started taking pottery classes because I wanted to be more of an artist. I've always been an art enthusiast. I don't know that I would call myself an artist. I would do things here and there. I'm not a formally trained artist by any means. So if I'm, excuse me, if I'm trying to increase my identity or expand it, how can I do that safely? So it's where am I now? And then who do I belong to? So when I'm in a new area, I didn't feel like I belonged in this pottery group. I was like a little shy and quiet, believe it or not, when I got there because it wasn't my normal place to be. Same thing, I took a writing class a few times over the last year in a local library. And one time I almost didn't even walk in because I was like, do I belong there? I'm not a writer. But I was like, wait, I've written like scientific manuscripts. I write a blog because somebody I talked to was like, you are a writer. You have a blog. You write a lot of things. So it is interesting, like the words we use, and a lot of times we have to go back to the data. What is the thought? What are the emotions about it? And what's the data? So if somebody had to remind me, you are a writer. You have over, I don't know, 50 manuscripts on my CV. Of course, I didn't only do those. I usually work with groups. And so I write with a lot of people. I've written little grants. Or grants, we'll say grants, smaller grants. And I've written stories and I've written a lot of stories in my blogs. Okay, so I'm writing things. Um, so when we say, okay, now I'm going into this space and we're expanding our identity. So I didn't feel like a writer. I didn't feel like an artist. It can threaten how we see ourselves. And like I said, wasn't even going to walk in. So did I fit in there? Were they going to say, "What are you doing here? You're not a writer of books. You haven't written a book." Well, I edited a book one time for multiple sclerosis. So, okay. So there's examples of some things I've done. I haven't done exactly what those folks have done, but that's not what they asked. They said, "Do you want to learn more about writing?" Yes. Do I want to learn more about pottery? Yes. So I am becoming somebody who tries new things. I am becoming a builder of things. By writing, by doing poetry. So I can take one small step toward that. I can go to that pottery class. I submitted some of my art into an art show and I even wrote on there, "I'm new at this," but they took two pieces. Um, so so we have to be careful what we're telling ourselves about going into a new identity. Do we feel like we have status there? No, I was not, top dog in that group, in that room. I was the newbie person in the pottery class, but I've been there so long, I'm not the newest one anymore. Okay. I'm not the highest one there anymore, for sure. Okay. Do I belong there now? Yeah, because I like pottery. So I'm learning. I'm learning. Yes. Do I belong in those writing classes? Sure. I mean, they're open. They're library classes. So anyone could come. They didn't say you had to do a certain thing to get in there. So, but it was uncomfortable for me and I felt like I needed a permission slip. So I want to give you a permission slip. Go try things and be new at something, and it's going to feel weird. You might not even walk in like I didn't almost walk in because we're low on the status then because we're new at something. But that's high, that's hard for professional people because we're used to being good at something because we put a lot of school, a lot of hours, overnight call, etc., into learning medicine. And I'm sure you've learned other things in your professional background. So where do we belong then? I belong there, but I didn't feel like I belonged with pottery or writers. So, and that's my story. That's my thought. That's not even like I had to look at the evidence and I had to say, like, "Hey, I'm new at this." I would just say it out loud. "I'm new at this." They're like, "Yeah, we know it's a pottery class. A lot of people are new." So it's just, it's very interesting how powerful that story is in the brain when we're new at something. Okay. So here's our checklist. The first week, we talked about losing. What would we lose by taking this step? We have to identify what's an area where we made a plan, but we're just stuck. We didn't take action yet. We're between the plan and the action. We're in that zone, in that stuck zone. And what is the fear of something we might be losing? We have to name that fear. I might lose time. I might lose my peace of mind because I'm going to go get judged by these people. But what could you gain? I made some new friends. I have new confidence because I now know some things about pottery and some new things about writing. Now I know about some new resources in my town to learn new things. What about safety? How do we say we're going to be safe in these actions? If we take one small step, we can even make it smaller if it's too scary for us and just take one small step. Say, "I took the step, I did it." You're laying those stones across the river, just small steps. Okay. And then the freedom. Do we have freedom in this change? Are we saying we're forced to do this change? Are we finding our agency? Our self-efficacy is a term that's used and studied. So when we feel like we have self-efficacy, we feel like we know or we can find the resources to go ahead with what's on our mind, the plan we want to put into place. Or if we feel stuck, we don't have a lot of self-efficacy. We're stuck. We talked about a lot of reasons why we're stuck. It's that zone between a plan and taking action. And there's a lot in there, as we talked about. So we reframe it into a choice. I get to go to work. I get to learn about pottery. I get to learn about writing. I'm going to go play golf in a little bit. I'm a pretty new golfer. Um, so I get to try golf. I'm very lucky. So I'm not good at it. People might judge me. People might watch me and be like, "She needs some lessons." I do need some lessons. All right. So last thing is the status. When we're new, we're not the highest in the list and we're not the best at the thing, right? I'm not going to be the best at golf. I'm not the best at pottery. I'm not the best at writing, but I'm becoming someone who tries things because it's fun. And I made new friends and I learned new things about my town, like things that are here that I've lived here a long time. I just didn't know. And so I take one action and then I meet new people. I just share, "Hey, here's what I'm doing," because it helps me belong in this group, this new group that I'm asking to be in. So as humans, we are social. So when we're trying something new, we're like new in a group, like, excuse me, can I be in your group? So this is what we have to do, right? We have to just take these small steps. So what I want you to think about is like, what was easier than you even thought when you try these things? What surprised you about the power of neuroscience in our change in that space between stuck and taking action? And where do you feel more aligned now? Like you're ready to go? I have some resources, so go ahead and if you want to put in the chat, resources, I'm glad to, send this form to you so that you could use this along your way. All right, well, thanks for being here and all the best. And let me know in the chat like what you tried. What's the small little action so you can cross that river of fear? You got this. I believe in you. So hit like and subscribe, please, and then you'll get more of these regularly, okay? All right.